stigmatism is the biggest thing around mental health, and the more you talk about it, the less there is a stigma around it. So talking is the biggest thing, asking people how they are doing, and not just being, how are you doing? I'm fine, thanks. No, actually, how are you? What is actually happening in your life right now? Are you okay? Can I help you in any way?
Welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast. Before we get started on this episode, I would like to invite you to our community so that you can hear more stories to inspire change within your life and positive change within the systems in which we live. All I want you to do is to click on the subscribe button. Your comments mean the world to us with anything that's resonated with you, and I absolutely love your support. I can't wait to go on this journey alongside you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's get into today's episode. Today, our bite-sized episode is with Vicki Roberts.
I'm Vicki Roberts, and this is my Tale to Inspire.
So Vicki, welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast. It's great to have you. So tell me a little bit more about what mental health means to you.
I think mental health for me is the ongoing growth of my psychological health. I think there's a massive difference between mental illness and mental health, and mental health is the ongoing upkeep, and I'm so glad that there's now a fantastic space online and in person, and these conversations are happening. But yeah, mental health is definitely an ongoing process. And even in your good days, you might experience a couple of mental health problems or some struggles. And then there's always the other extreme of it, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit.
So then mental health, mental illness, tell me about a little bit how they mean something different to you.
Yeah, I think mental illness is something that I think mental illness is something that is probably going to affect your life in a much more serious way than mental health. Things like psychosis, schizophrenia, anorexia. There's so many different disorders, bipolar, that it requires a diagnosis to be a mental illness. Lots of people suffer with mental health struggles, depression, anxiety, and they can be maintained on a daily basis. But if there's additional support, in my eyes, mental illness is just slightly different from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. So then kind of this new revolution around the mental health space that's happened in the, I guess you call it the wellbeing space, that happened in the last, 3 years, maybe since COVID?
Yeah, it is definitely. COVID's made a massive difference.
Have you seen a big difference in the space?
Sure. Oh my God, yeah. When I was growing up, I thought I was such a weirdo. I was like, why do I feel like this? There's no one talking about this. I just thought that there was something wrong with me for so much of my life. And now that everyone talks about it on social media, oh my God, it's fantastic. I know it's not just me anymore. And actually, it's completely normal to struggle with your mental health. It doesn't make you a weirdo or an abnormal. What is that word? Abnormally.
Yeah.
Abnormally?
Anomaly.
Anomaly.
That's the one. I think it's an anomaly.
Doesn't make you an anomaly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think that everyone can talk about this now, and especially if you're trying to help come through your struggles, to be able to talk about it with other people is one of the biggest solutions out there.
Did you feel when you were growing up and going through these things that you did, or did you not do that?
Talk about it? Oh, I didn't talk about it.
Really?
No way. I think a big thing for me was isolating. And as a result, I didn't talk about it. And I think also I didn't have the vocabulary to be able to talk about it. So I would just hide because I couldn't really say, oh, I'm feeling really anxious today, or what I just had was a panic attack, or I'm really struggling with food right now. Like, none of those words were in my ether, where now I can look online and be like, she says it like that. So yeah, that makes sense. I know how to say it to you. But growing up, there wasn't that. So it's fantastic for the next generation to be able to have words that they can now use to convey their problems, which hopefully means people can get help a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of people slipping through the net and then
for sure
and getting caught through that. So then what can we as a community, we may be doing a lot better.
Yeah.
What can we continue to do or improve as a community to support people within the space?
I think stigmatism is the biggest thing around mental health, and the more you talk about it, the less there is a stigma around it. So talking is the biggest thing. Asking people how they are doing, and not just being, how are you doing? I'm fine, thanks. No, actually, how are you? What is actually happening in your life right now? Are you okay? Can I help you in any way? Just bringing up the conversation so that there's less of a taboo around the topic. I'm sure everyone, if they haven't experienced themselves, knows someone that's struggling with their mental health, has struggled with it, or may struggle with it in the future. So it shouldn't be a taboo topic at all. And it frustrates me that it still is in a lot of areas.
So what would you say that one of the main things that you could do for someone, if someone else is struggling and you see some signs, what should you do for that person to support them?
Everyone needs support in different ways. It's not one size fits all. I can't be like, oh, well, I need a cuddle. That helps me. You might be like, bugger off, don't want a cuddle at all. And that's actually going to make things worse. So I think you need to have a very honest conversation about how to support someone, give them options, because often when you're in a negative headspace, it's very hard to think of what you need. Yeah. So do you need me to listen? Do you need me to give you advice? Do you need me to pull you out the house when you're really struggling to get out? What can I do to best support you? Give people options.
And I love that.
And then often when people hide away, I have a habit of hiding away. This is tricky advice for me. I need someone to push into my boundary and say, I know you want to be alone, but actually I know what's best for you. Right, and luckily, okay. I do have people that do that now and saying, get out of bed, let's do something about this.
I think this is a really great way to say, like, what's a true friend?
Yeah.
And sometimes a true friend is someone who does it's not always being the one who's doing something to be that far away from the boundary. It's someone who pushes you to go to that next step or to push through or to whatever you need in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably more of a true friend at what they're looking at, as opposed to, like you said, these are the 3 things that you have to do for mental health to get to where you need to.
Everyone's individual. You can't just say, oh, this will fix you, because it doesn't. Even with medication, each medication targets people differently. I think what makes a great friend when you're struggling with mental health is someone that might not necessarily understand but tries their best. I've had friends that I tend to vanish. I don't reply to text messages. I'm a bloody nightmare. I'm fully aware of that. But the friends that have said, oh my God, it's totally fine. I understand that you needed that space and it hasn't affected our friendship. That's what makes it a true friendship, rather than someone that gets very frustrated by that space, which I also understand. But mental health, it's very hard to
I struggle with those type of friendships, those people who always need to be messaging.
Oh, I can't do that.
Those ones who, can we do something this week? I'm sorry, but I just don't have that space.
And it's not about you. I just don't have the energy and I don't have the space at the moment. And it's not you. You're amazing. But I can't right now. I'm so sorry.
I use those lines all the way through my university.
Oh, did you?
It's not about you.
I promise it's not you, it's me.
It's absolutely me. You stole them.
No, it's in every film ever.
Amazing. So Vicky, thank you so much for jumping into that.
Yeah.